Most permanent pasture produces 2 to 4 tons of usable dry matter per acre in a season. Well-managed pasture can push 5, maybe 6 on a good year. What if your pastures could produce 8 to 12 tons per acre without irrigation? 14 to 20% crude protein at peak harvest? Root systems running 6 to 12 FT deep? And forage that stays productive when grass shuts down in heat? One of these can be grazed 5 times a season and still regrow faster than fescue. Another produces double the tonnage of alfalfa on soils where alfalfa won't survive, and another holds protein within 3% of spring levels straight through August. The first crop does it by stacking leaf surface, building enormous taproots and regrowing faster under grazing than species that rest all summer. It produces more edible biomass per acre because it occupies more physical space vertically and underground than grass ever can. Let's get into it. Crop 1, black locust. Yes, a tree is cheating, but hear me out. Leaf tissue from managed black locust consistently tests at 22 to 28% crude protein during the main grazing window, with digestibility remaining high later into summer when grass protein collapses. Plus, we know they are going to grow anyway, so we might as well use them. In silvopasture trials, rational stands produce 2 to 4 tons of edible leaf dry matter per acre annually. In addition to whatever forest grows underneath, that yield is less tied to surface moisture because the roots are working below the affected drought zones. Root depth exceeds 20 ft under average conditions and reaches beyond 25 ft in deep soils. Locust moves calcium, potassium, and magnesium into circulation that shallow-rooted pasture cannot reach. Leaf drop, root turnover, and grazing cycle those minerals directly into the system. They are great nitrogen fixtures. Measure rates fall between 100 to 200 pounds per acre per year, delivered through leaf litter, dyeing modules, fine root turnover, soil exudates. Most of that nitrogen comes in slowly through litter and roots already tied into soil biology instead of as a fast dump like synthetics. Coppicing response is immediate and aggressive. Post-harvest shoot regrowth commonly extends 4 to 7 feet per season, supporting repeated browsing cycles without waiting multiple years for recovery. Protein concentration remains stable through regrowth. Animals convert the leaves easily. Sheep and goats strip leaves and tips. Cattle graze lower branches and fallen forage. Pods add late-season carbohydrate without starch collapse across dry regions. The black locust silvopasture shows higher total dry matter output per acre under identical rainfall than pasture alone. It's also one of the most decay-resistant timbers. Locust fence posts exceed 40 to 80 years of field life untreated. Coppice poles can be harvested continuously while main stems mature. Each planting produces livestock protein system fertility structural material. One stand supports 3 outputs simultaneously. Now back to crops. Crop number 2, Jerusalem artichoke. Jerusalem artichoke produces 3 to 6 tons of tubers per acre on unmanaged ground and 5 to 7 plus tons under rotational harvest. Those tubers are not starch. They are inulin-dominant carbohydrate, often 65 to 75% of dry matter, which converts into energy more efficiently than corn in cold soil. The tubers gain white in fall and winter conditions where other grains stop working. In pig systems, side-by-side comparisons show faster grain per acre in late season than corn because energy delivery is continuous and harvest is done by animals, not machines. Rooting replaces fuel, labor, and storage. Above ground mass adds feed where pasture has already weakened in cold temperatures. Top growth holds 12 to 15% crude protein into early frost, extending grazing weeks without seeding. Then under the soil, roots routinely penetrate 6+ feet, breaking compaction layers that pasture species never reach. That fractures mineral bands, recycles potassium and phosphorus upward, and returns structure to ground. After getting established, they will come back year after year. Each plant generates 4 to 6 daughter tubers each season. Animals eat it by pigs self-harvest and finish in place. Goats take tops as late-season forage. Cattle clean leaf mass after frost. The next one is a classic, but for a reason. Crop 3, Comfrey. Comfrey produces 4 to 6 harvests per season in most temperate systems, and on fertile ground, it crosses 15 to 20 tons of green biomass per acre annually. Dry matter output matches corn silage, but without replanting and without soil disturbance. Crude protein in young leaves consistently runs 18 to 30% at peak cut, with calcium, potassium, magnesium, and silica concentrated far above pasture species. That's high nutrient weight, but the root system is the big deal. Primary tap roots exceed 10 ft, pulling moisture and minerals out of subsoil. Grass never touches. When pasture slows, Comfrey keeps producing because it's feeding off a deeper aquifer in a deeper mineral stack. Comfrey regrows in 21 to 28-day cycle, and the latter cuts don't collapse nutritionally the way grass does. Protein stays usable deep into dry weather because nitrogen is cycling upward through the root, not relying on surface moisture. What does that mean operationally? One dense Comfrey row can replace multiple acres of weak pasture protein in midsummer, where animals lose weight on brown forage. A strip of Comfrey restarts intake. Animals use it by poultry convert leaf protein into eggs. Pigs turn fresh greenery into finishing energy. Goats treat it as a high mineral browse. Cattle clean it as protein shock during slump periods. Any system that runs livestock and compost should grow Comfrey because it is not just feed, but because it moves fertility out of dead subsoil and places it directly into muscle, milk, eggs, and manure. Next, crop 4, Sorghum Sudan hybrid. Sorghum Sudan hybrids are the highest output forage crops most livestock systems will ever run. Under rotational grazing or cut and carry, they regularly produce 12 to 20 tons of dry matter per acre in one season. Where rainfall holds into summer, multi-cut systems push even higher. This crop runs on heat. As temperatures climb, sorghum doesn't stall. Photosynthesis accelerates. Leaf area expands, stem density increases, and tissue formation outpaces most cool season forages by multiples. Production peaks when other grasses are in survival mode, and the protein stays usable. At early vegetative stages, Sorghum Sudan tests 14 to 18% crude protein that then settles into the low teens deep into summer. Intake doesn't go down as sugar levels shift because leaf structure stays soft and digestible through repeated harvests. The recovery curve is the advantage. Cut or graze it at 18 to 24 in, and it rebounds with 2 to 4 ft of regrowth in 21 to 30 days under warm soil. That means multiple grazing passes in the exact window when other forages are losing leaf and lignifying. Quick note, never graze Sorghum Sudan under 10 to 12 in. Short growth accumulates prussic acid, cyanogenic glycoids in the lower system. When animals graze it low or immediately after frost or drought break, those compounds can spike to lethal levels for livestock. Sorghum uses 30 to 50% less water per ton of dry matter than corn silage while delivering comparable energy. Root systems routinely exceed 6 feet, which is why it keeps filling when surface forage is finished. Cattle gain rapidly on fresh-cut sorghum because rinfill isn't limiting. Energy intake is stalker operations, and dairies use it to stabilize feed curves during pivot failures, heat waves, or forage gaps. If you can't tell, we really like sorghum. Crop 5 tree hay systems. Willow, mulberry, and poplar produce feed vertically instead of horizontally. Just like locusts, mulberry leaves routinely test 18 to 28% crude protein at harvest, the same league as alfalfa, with digestibility that stays high even as the leaf matures. Willow and poplar run lower protein, typically 12 to 20%, but bring secondary compounds that change how animals digest everything else they eat. Willow's tannins suppress internal parasites and increase protein capture instead of nitrogen loss in the rumen. Animals retain more of what they consume. Poplar adds salicylates and folic compounds that reduce inflammation and improve intake stability under heat stress, and the yields surprise people. A managed coppice block routinely produces 3 to 8 tons of leaf forage per acre per year, once established without tillage, reseeding, or fertilizer inputs. Mulberry on good ground pushes higher. Once cut, leafy branches air dry into stable leaf hay that resists mold better than bale hay because airflow stays inside the bundle instead of sealing moisture inside. Properly dried, you can store it for months. Cut every 1 to 3 years and regrowth comes back harder. Each cycle builds stronger root systems, higher leaf output, tougher drought tolerance. Bonus crop forage brassica systems. Turnips, kale, rape, radish mixes. This is the system that turns fall and winter into production months. Forage brassicas routinely deliver 8 to 14 tons of dry matter per acre in a single season under minimal management. In high-fertility systems, mixed plantings exceed that, but yield alone isn't the edge. Brassicas reroute their carbon differently than grasses. Instead of building lignified systems, they stockpile digestible carbohydrate, soluble protein, and water-rich tissue in leaves and pulps that animals metabolize fast. Turnips and forage radish regularly produce 3 to 7 tons per acre underground. Edible, energy-dense feeds stored in soil instead of barns. Above ground, kale and rape push 18 to 25% crude protein while staying palatable well past frost. You don't lose leaf quality when nights drop. That makes them finish feed when pasture is done. Protein drops and grain gets expensive. Brassicas also reset compaction without running iron. Radish taproots break hardpan at depth, then rot in place, leaving permanent pore channels that pasture actually exploits the next season. Livestock response is immediate. Cattle put weight on fast. Sheep fatten on leaf over pulp. Dairy intake spikes in cool weather. Dry cows maintain body condition without grain support. This is the crop that takes a deadfall window and turns it into a growth period when the other crops can't. Integration strategy: how these crops replace grass yield in real systems. This only works if the crops cover different failure modes of pasture. Here is the actual systems that makes the system outperform grass. Separate protein from calories. Most farms expect one mix of pasture to do both, and it usually can't run your system as two streams. Protein producers: black locust, comfrey, tree hay. Calorie producers: Jerusalem artichoke, sorghum, sudan, mulberry leaf mass, secondary energy. Animals perform better when protein and starch enter the diet. That's why weight gain stabilizes, winter feed stretches, intake stops crashing when grass burns off. Anchor each crop to the season it dominates. Do not scatter these crops across the year. Assign them. Early summer protein, Comfrey plus locust leaf flush, replaces alfalfa when pasture lignifies. Midsummer bulk sorghum sudan replaces hay feeding during heat drought. Fall calories: Jerusalem artichoke tubers plus tops replaces grain finishing. Winter protein tree hay plus willow browse replaces purchase protein, and molasses blocks turn vulnerable acres into feed assets. Use each crop where pasture fails. Rocky soil: use locust. Compaction: use artichoke. Low fertility: use comfrey. Heat exposed: use sorghum. Flood prone: use willow. Overgrazed: use tree hay blocks. Every weak field has a crop that outperforms grass on it. Don't fix the pasture, change the species, but there's no one right feed system. There's only what works where you are with your system, your needs and your climate. If you're willing to share what's your climate and what's feeding animals on your farm right now, leave it in the comments. It helps everyone learn what actually works in the real world. If this breakdown of high-yield forage changed how you look at your pastures and livestock systems, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the agricultural history and techniques that have been overlooked for too long. Let's grow a more productive future together. The next treasure of farming knowledge will be revealed soon.